On May 10, 2026, a 4-digit code appeared on civilian flight tracking screens over the Gulf of Oman, 7700. To the average observer, it was a sign of distress. To the Iranian state media, it was a propaganda victory. Within hours, the Iranian consulate in India declared, "We shut it down. Project Freedom is collapsing." They claimed a U.S. F-35A Lightning II had been crippled by their defenses. But in the world of high-stakes military aviation, the truth is often more clinical and far more dangerous. You don't squawk 7700 when you've been hit by a missile. You don't manually type a transponder code into your cockpit while fighting for control of a burning airframe in contested airspace. The squawk wasn't a sign of Iranian strength. It was the digital footprint of a maintenance routine, a routine that interrupted something much more sinister for Tehran. While the propaganda machines were cheering, the F-35's sensors had already finished mapping the coordinates for a strike that will likely end the IRGC's naval dominance forever. Today, we analyze the invisible map, the logic of the 21-mile sovereignty demand, and why the total rejection from Washington signals the start of the most intense bombing campaign in the history of the Persian Gulf. To understand the hollow nature of Tehran's victory celebrations, we must look past the headlines and into the cockpit of the F-35A. This wasn't a routine flight, it was a high-stakes intelligence harvest. While Iranian state media spun a tale of a crippled American jet, they ignored a terrifying reality. By the time that transponder squawked 7700, the invisible map had already been drawn. The F-35A is far more than a fighter. It is a vacuum for data. Its APG-81 AESA radar utilizes synthetic aperture radar SAR to pierce through environmental clutter, generating ground imagery so precise it can distinguish a single fast attack boat from a pile of rocks at extreme standoff ranges. But the true game changer is the AN/AAQ 40 EOTS electro-optical targeting system. In the heat of the Gulf, thermal signatures are impossible to mask. Even if the IRGC tucks its vessels into hardened concrete bunkers or beneath layers of heavy camouflage, the residual heat of a recently killed engine glows like a neon sign against the cooler earth. For decades, the IRGC has utilized a swarm doctrine, a naval whack-a-mole strategy using hundreds of small missile-laden hulls to overwhelm traditional destroyers. If the U.S. Navy sinks 5 boats, 10 more emerge from the jagged coves of the Iranian coastline. Historically, the U.S. was fighting the swarm in the water. This mission changed the math. The U.S. military is no longer targeting the boats. They are mapping the logistics layer. They are cataloging the fuel bladders, the hidden ammunition caches, and the specific barracks where the crews sleep. They are identifying which remote coves have the exact depth required for high-speed launches. The 7700 emergency code may have paused the sortie, but the damage was done. Thanks to the MADL multifunction advanced data link, every thermal signature and high-resolution coordinate was uploaded in real time to the carrier strike group. Tehran is celebrating a maintenance glitch, completely unaware that they are holding a victory parade over the very coordinates of their own upcoming execution. While the kinetic conflict escalates in the skies, a far-reaching legal battle is being waged in the corridors of power. Iran has blindsided the international community with a counterproposal that effectively seeks to rewrite the rules of global trade, a demand for absolute sovereignty over the entire 21-mile width of the Strait of Hormuz. To understand the gravity of this, one must look at the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. Currently, the strait is recognized as an international waterway where transit passage is guaranteed. This legal framework ensures that even though the waters touch Iranian and Omani shores, no single nation can legally board, tax, or impede the flow of global commerce. It is the jugular vein of the world economy. By demanding full sovereignty, Tehran isn't just seeking a border adjustment, they are auditioning for the role of global toll operator. Controlling these 21 miles means holding a knife to the throat of 20% of the world's seaborne oil supply, the industrial lifeblood of China, Japan, and South Korea, the master valve of global inflation and energy stability. For decades, the IRGC has operated like a roadside insurgent, occasionally harassing tankers to extract diplomatic concessions. This new proposal, however, is a demand for the legal deed to the highway. They want the right to build a permanent gate and decide who passes and at what price. Washington's dismissal was not just cold, it was a total shutdown. The totally unacceptable label signals a paradigm shift. The U.S. is no longer interested in the cat-and-mouse diplomacy of the past 40 years. The rhetoric is sharper because the stakes have transitioned from temporary harassment to a permanent, institutionalized threat to the global order. Accepting this would mean letting Tehran own the world's most critical economic switch, and that is a price the West is no longer willing to discuss. The international standoff isn't merely a dispute over shipping lanes and oil prices. It is a direct confrontation with the reality of a nuclear breakout. Recent IAEA disclosures have sent shockwaves through Western intelligence agencies. Tehran has amassed an estimated 440 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium. To grasp the severity of this, one must understand the physics of enrichment. A standard nuclear power plant operates on fuel enriched to a mere 3% or 5%. Once you reach the 60% threshold, you have cleared the most difficult technical hurdles. It is widely considered the technical doorstep to 90% weapons-grade material. This 440-kilogram stockpile represents enough fissile material to fuel multiple nuclear warheads if pushed through the final stage of processing. Iran's recent peace proposal was essentially an ultimatum. They demanded a total lifting of the blockade and the release of hundreds of billions in frozen assets while refusing to touch a single gram of this stockpile. They wanted the world to subsidize their economy while they held the trigger to a nuclear arsenal under IRGC custody. The White House's response was a masterclass in diplomatic escalation. By labeling Iranian officials as so-called representatives, Washington effectively revoked their credentials. In the cold logic of military strategy, when you stop acknowledging a nation's diplomats, you are signaling that the time for talking has ended. You are no longer negotiating with civil servants. You are preparing to engage their generals. This shift is mirrored in the president's recent communications. Phrases like "they will be laughing no longer" are not mere rhetorical flourishes for a political base, they are operational announcements. They serve as the strategic preamble to kinetic action. As the MV Ocean Trader, a specialized mothership for elite special operations, maneuvers into striking distance in the Indian Ocean, the message is clear. The diplomatic window has been slammed shut, and the special warfare phase has begun. The most critical piece of intelligence we have today is the submission of the Israeli strike plan to Washington. This isn't a plan to hit factories, it's a plan to hit people. At the top of the list, Ahmed Vahidi, the IRGC commander-in-chief. We need to look at the internal fracture within Iran. The regular army, the Artesh, is growing resentful. Reports indicate Artesh soldiers are being sent to the front with 10 bullets and no support, while the IRGC elite sits in bunkers. The upcoming strike campaign is designed to trigger an institutional collapse. Step 1. Decapitate the IRGC leadership, Vahidi. Step 2. Destroy the oil storage facilities. Iran is currently 40 days away from overflow. If they can't export oil, they have to shut down the wells. If they shut down the wells, they can't pay salaries. Step 3. Watch the Artesh decide whether they want to die for a regime that can no longer pay them. The F-35 that squawked 7700 is back in its hangar at Al Dhafra. The maintenance fault is fixed. The next F-35 is already in the air, picking up exactly where the last one left off, refining the coordinates for every hidden cove and every command node. Iran state media can claim they scared away the Lightning II, but they are mistaking a tactical pause for a strategic retreat. The 40-day clock is ticking. The MV Ocean Trader is in position. Space Force is monitoring Isfahan with badge number precision. The mafia boss in Tehran wanted 21 miles and a nuclear arsenal. What he is about to receive is a total rejection delivered by B-1B Lancers and GBU-72 bunker busters. The diplomatic phase is over. The targeting package is complete. They will be laughing no longer. In the next 72 hours, we will see if the IRGC's swarm can survive a strike at the logistics layer. Drop your predictions in the comments. Will the IRGC command structure hold, or are we looking at the final days of the regime's maritime grip? Subscribe and turn on notifications. The situation is heating up, and we will be here to analyze the fallout.